Hi, I'm Evan Sinclair,
And I'm Ryan Sinclair.
and today we're going to be talking about Nicolas Jaar's new
No, 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 no. Oh, you thought.
talking about Darkside featuring Nicolas Jaar.
Well, yep. Oh, man, it's been a long 8 years since the last Darkside project in 2013 with Psychic, which is actually one of my favorite albums of all time. So I was really, really, really hyped to getting into this one.
Yeah, and I'm already really excited for this review because it is one of your favorite groups in general, and I've liked them, but it's definitely something that I don't listen to on a regular basis like you do. So I think this is going to be interesting because
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, and I got lots.
Yeah.
2013's Psychic was an absolute landmark release. It was, critically acclaimed. Everybody fucking loved this record. It's very dark, brooding, meditative, and sparse, and overall just a really unique experience coming from Nicolas Jaar and Dave Harrington, the two members of the group. Nicolas Jaar is one of my all-time favorite producers. He's a very uh, clangy, industrial, grimy, gurgly, very, very, very evocative and textural producer. The man has so many different sounds under his belt, from just dancey, housey, techno stuff to straight up experimental ambient. Telos was one of my favorite albums of last year, and it's looking like Spiral is going to be one of my favorites from this year as well. Yeah, right out the gate.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Ryan's album of the year 2021.
Hey, I didn't say that yet. I didn't say that yet, but it is easily a contender. Easily.
Yeah. I was gonna say you seem very excited about it before this review. What are you liking about this one? How does it follow up compared to Psychic? And how you feeling? How you feeling, baby?
So I'm not sure if I'm ready to say that I like it more than Psychic. I think that I don't want to rely on comparing it to the album before it, but it's kind of hard not to, because that's such a unique sound that they've cultivated for themselves. But I will say the big comparison to be made between the two is that this is a much more locked in and groovy record than Psychic was. Spiral has a lot more like grooves and funky drum beats happening that allow all of the weirder arrhythmic moments to feel a bit more interconnected. It's a bit more danceable, and it's a lot more danceable than Psychic
For all
is.
those people who don't know what arrhythmic means, and including myself a few years ago, but having to listen to him rave about these things, that's like noises that aren't part of the rhythm. Am I correct in that?
It just means that if you're talking about a locked in like da 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 type of
be
rhythm,
like, hey, what's up? It's me. I'm here in the rhythm. But
it means doing things that are not locked in with the groove, and stuff that are semi freeform, I guess, is a good way of putting it. And there's a lot of stuff like that on this record.
It's definitely toned back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is actually why I'm thinking I like this one more than Psychic.
Mm-hmm.
And you had listened to it and you told me, you're like, Evan, I think you're gonna like this one more than Psychic. And I was like, try me, buddy, giving me these thoughts before I hear something. And I was like, oh, I think he's right. This is nice. But
yeah, there's a lot to groove back and forth with. The drums on this record are definitely way more present, and so are the vocals. In Psychic, there's
which is also a plus for me personally. I mean, no shame here. I just personally like it when music has vocals most of the time. There are a lot of exceptions. Actually, that's an exaggeration. There are exceptions in my music listening taste that has no vocals that I do enjoy, but I'm definitely like a little singy songs in my my ears.
Okay, I like singy songs in my ears too, Evan. But for real, it's been made clear that Nicolas has become a lot more comfortable with his singing voice, given a lot of other projects that he's released recently. Like Senizos was a very vocal heavy album as well. There's of growth there. You know, considering that Psychic, the vocals felt like a treat. Like every now and then you get a little sprinkle and like, oh, he's singing now. You're getting some weird little melodies on top of this instrumental. But this album is definitely much more of a direct, almost. I'm hesitant to say singer-songwriter sound, but there's definitely a much more coherent structure to the vocal performances and how a lot of the melodic meat to it is in the vocals.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more vocals in this one. Well, when I was listening to this, and I think that this absolutely goes for Psychic as well, is like this is the type of album where you want to put some headphones on, or like it be in a space where you let it like kind of take over. It's not background music at all.
Yeah,
it's
you want to be in a dark room with your eyes closed.
Exactly. I think nighttime is the perfect time to listen to this. It's a very moody sound, but as we were saying, it's a lot more fun, I think, than the previous record, which I personally liked. I liked how it had a bit more of that funky taste to it in the vocals. And we keep saying funky and like there's vocals in it now, but like
don't get the wrong idea. Yeah. This is not anything close to a funk record.
Yeah, I don't want to take away from the fact that like this is more than anything moody.
Yeah. Funky relatively, you know.
Relative
funk. Relative funk is the word.
I'm gonna hit you with my first criticisms of this.
Okay, go for it.
Are you ready?
I'm not ready. I'm gonna fucking shut you down.
Okay. Second to last track. I thought it kind of dragged on. I thought it was too long. Didn't really. At first, it was nice. I was like, okay, not really digging this. It lost my interest. Rebuttal.
I actually, I thought I was gonna have more to rebut, but I kind of sympathize with that.
Okay, cool.
I still really like the track, and it's a more meditative, drony one on the track list. But I do think that it could have, this might sound antithetical to what you were saying, but I think it could have been longer, and I think that if it developed to a bit more of a high peak, that it would have justified how long and brooding and repetitive it was.
Yeah, it didn't really go anywhere.
Like if they took a cue from Swans there and sort of like kept building, made that like a 15-minute cool. rather than an 8-minute.
Well,
I would have loved that.
I think maybe if even just built a bit more within that 8 minutes. But second criticism, I thought it ended on a weak note.
I actually think that one of my criticisms would be that a few of the songs feel like they just decide to do an outro.
That's exactly why I didn't like the last song. It felt like that the last song ended and then they tacked on that little extra bit, and I was just like, it felt like it didn't have a like ending. It was just kind of like, it kind of just
they kind
threw
of
one last thing at you where I was like,
a trope that happens a few times is like they'll be like, okay, the song's ending, we're gonna keep the drum groove going, but we're gonna have more wacky guitar solo stuff and it's gonna fizzle out. And sometimes that works, and sometimes you're right, it did leave me feeling a little like maybe transition tricked, differently or something. That was a minor footnote in my critical thoughts about this album overall.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a very important thing, is how you end your album, and for that to end on a personal sour note, I was just like, ugh.
I think my biggest instance of that specific criticism was actually the first track, Narrow Path. Like, they do some dramatic dropouts and then bring it back and bring the song back at full volume a few times at the end. And while I definitely like it, and I definitely think that that's a great opening track, Narrow Path is a really, really tight opener, especially leading right into The Limit, which is a much more locked in, groovy tune. I definitely sort of felt like, oh, the end. Oh, okay. Oh, they're doing it again. Oh, okay, we're back. Oh, okay, now is the end of the song. And I mean, as somebody who loves, that type of songwriting generally, it didn't really hurt. but it definitely felt maybe a little jarring. Oh, Nicolas jarring. Oh, I'm a fucking idiot. Wow. But
So one last thing for me. This is not a criticism. This is high praise, baby. The sound design, or I guess not sound design, but the actual instruments that they used all sounded so good.
yeah,
Like,
dude, Nicolas
that's
Jaar is a king of sound design.
yeah.
He is straight
Okay,
up at
so
the
sound
top of his
design, I
game.
was right.
Yeah,
with that
you're
then?
right.
Okay, yeah.
But
'cause,
also
like,
guitar tone is.
yes.
I mean,
Okay, so
I mean,
the
I guess you
tone.
could call sculpting a guitar tone sound design, but in its
Yeah.
own way, it's
Either
usually
way.
reserved for synthy and sampley type of language.
Okay. Well, either way, I just all of the different sounds that they brought to the table on this record, I really liked. Like the drums, the electronics. Honestly,
the guitar tones on this record are crazy,
which is interesting because
like there's so much just whack shit in there that's just crazy rippage. I love it. Oh my god!
Although the songwriting style of it is not necessarily like the first thing I would jump to when listening to music, I was consistently impressed with that. I was just like, whoa, that's a cool instrument, or whoa, that's wow. And the mixing as well on this album was like,
that's Jaar for you, baby.
Yeah, it was damn good.
Yeah, across the board, I feel like I can't name a single Nicolas Jaar project where the sound design doesn't leave you floored. I definitely think I agree that I prefer the more meditative, long form stuff that we had on Psychic to the more, single sounding, lots of vocal sound that we have on Spiral. I think that overall, the general experience of Psychic, to me, it resonates a little more, but really not by much, because I love that we have this. I love that we have both sides of Darkside. That's fun. Both sides of Darkside.
You're coming through with the puns today.
Well. Is that even a pun? Whatever. I mean,
anyway, so what are you feeling for a score on this one, man? Because no, let's save yours real quick.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. What do you think?
You're the grand finale with this one. I was honestly feeling I was feeling an 8, which is very. I was shocked. I wasn't expecting that just because it's not normally my thing, but I was impressed. I've stated the flaws that I've had with it, but criticisms I've had with it, but yeah, I'm gonna go with an 8, and I definitely see myself listening to this like late at night, like maybe on a car ride or something. But I also listen to a lot of music at late night car rides, so that's nothing abnormal for me. But still, it definitely is that mood that I think I'd be looking for a time like that. And yeah, all right, man. And what are you thinking? And you just said you don't like it as much as Psychic, though, right?
So when we're getting down to mincing scores, I have never really been a person to ascribe scores to stuff without, thinking about it long and hard. I am like inches away from saying Psychic is a 10, but I'm like, I don't know if I could say that. I think I would give Spiral a 9. And I think that I think Spiral is further from a 10 than Psychic is. I really adored this record. I think despite its flaws, it's a very cohesive, smooth, and exciting experience overall. I think that it handled the jumble of clarity and mayhem just very well. I think that it was able to hone in the crazier ideas by mixing in more accessible and patterned out stuff in a way that just gave me a perspective to the Darkside sound that I really love. And I'm very glad that we are hearing this type of development to their sound. Although I might personally prefer the more ambient or brooding side that we got on Psychic, I still have very little to complain about when it comes to Spiral, and it just makes me very excited to see what happens next. I feel like
you'll
these
find
guys
out in another
don't miss.
8 years.
Yep, but just give me another decade.
You were saying just before we end this, you were saying that this is your your favorite album of the year so far?
I have a few others that are close. I think that I'm going to let it marinate before I decide or say something that definitive, but at the very least, this is in the top 3. Mm. That shouldn't be a surprise, though. I'm a fucking fanboy. I mean, goddamn, the Nicolas Jaar praise on this channel has been heavy. If you've seen our 2020 best ofs, he took up so much space on my list. It was crazy because, I mean, maybe he released like 3 amazing albums last year, but I mean, still, it's just the man doesn't miss.
So when's the wedding?
Oh my god, if I met Nicolas Jaar, I wouldn't know what to say. I would probably just spit on him and be like, "That's my mark."
All right, well, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Evan Sinclair.
I'm Ryan Sinclair.
And we'll see you in the next video.
All right, have a good one, everybody.
See you.